So over here we got a Audi B8, which has got a CVT automatic gearbox, and we're going to be doing a gearbox service on this one. So if you've got an Audi B8 with a CVT gearbox, stay tuned and let's learn how to change the oil on this one. So first and foremost, you got to get the car to operating temperature, and then we're going to have to jack up the car so that we can start draining the oil. So our car is all jacked up, and down underneath the car we're going to be looking for the belly of the gearbox, which is this one, and we're going to be using our T60 to release our drain plug, and then also release the drain tube, the level tube inside, so that all of our CVT fluid can come out. So before you even think of doing your gearbox service, it's very important to note that there are different types of gearboxes. You get AMT gearboxes, you get CVT gearboxes, you get DSG gearboxes, you get IMT gearboxes, which are intelligent manual transmission boxes, many types. So it's very important to know which gearbox your vehicle has. That's number one. Number two, it's important to know that because all of these gearboxes take different oil. Some take DSG fluid, some take CVT fluid, some take Dextron 2, some take Dextron 6. So it's very important to know which gearbox you have in your vehicle and which is the correct fluid to use for your car. So for this Audi, it's definitely CVT, so we'll be using CVT oil for our gearbox oil change service. So first things first, we're going to have to drain our drain plug. So my drain plug is nice and loose now. What I always like to do is to put a drain pan underneath, one that's going to measure. So this one's got measuring liters that helps me see how much oil came out. Alright, so let's take out our drain plug. Only a little bit of oil is going to come out. Alright, the most oil is only going to come out once we take off the level tube. Alright, look at that. Alright, it's still draining. Once all the fluid is out, we're going to remove the level tube, and most of the fluid is then going to come out. Alright, when you are putting back your drain plug, it's important to change this O-ring as well, so make sure you order it with your parts. Our oil level tube is out now. You need a special tool to remove it. Some guys just use a normal pick to take it out, but it actually has threads, so you have to thread it out. Pulling it out with a pick can just damage it, but if you are going to pull it out with a pick, just make sure you are extremely gentle. You are extremely gentle with it, because it's plastic and it gets damaged very easily. So our oil is almost done draining, so we're going to put back our oil level tube and then torque down our drain plug. Right, so our oil level tube is back in there. So also remember to change the O-ring on your oil level tube. Alright, now we're just going to put back the sump, well, the drain plug, and then take out our oil filter. Alright, so this is the CVT oil that came out of the gearbox. It's nearly 6 liters. Manufacturer spec is from 5.5 and 7 liters on a dry fill. So this is about close to 6 liters. So we're going to pump back in a maximum of 6.5 liters, and then run the vehicle to operating temperature. On this case, we'll have to wait for the oil to get to 35 degrees or 45 degrees. We're going to have to check that on the diagnostics machine, and once it's at 45 degrees, we will level the oil. So we'll pump in 6.5 liters and then level it. Alright, so now what we're going to do is drain the take out the oil filter. All you have to do is to first remove one 10mm bolt that holds the lines over there in the top. So in order to remove those two pipes that go to the oil filter, you're going to have first have to remove this 10mm bolt which holds the lines, the pipes, and then you're going to have to remove this 13mm bolt that clamps it down onto the oil filter. So you start with the 10 and end with the 13 and just lift it up. Once the pipes are out, just drop the car. The oil filter is much easier to take out from the top. So once your car is dropped, like so, once the car is dropped, you can then access the oil filter from the top. It's a little housing over there that's held in by Torx bolts. So that we're going to remove the Torx screws now and remove our oil filter. All right. So the oil filter is out. It's just held in by 3 Torx screws. So now we're just gonna fit in the new one. Alright, so this is our new oil filter and the old one. So it's always very important to compare your spares before you fit them. So if you look at the new one and the old one, exactly the same. Alright, so now what we're just gonna do is put some CVT transmission fluid on our seals so that it goes in nicely and our seals don't get compromised while we are fitting in the new oil filter. Right, so it's quite simple. When you're putting it in, you just have to hear it click in, and you must make sure that the dowels align with the holes for the gearbox, which you screw the bolts onto, the Torx bolts onto. So new oil filter is on. All we have to do is to put on the Torx screws now. These are the screws that hold the oil filter. So when you're tightening them, it's 5 Newton meters and then 190-degree turn. All right, so now that everything is done, you're going to need a special adapter in order to fill up your gearbox. So your special adapter goes right in here where your drain plug sits. So we're going to screw this on. Once it's screwed on and the seal is sitting flush, we can then put on our adapter. So our CVT fluid is filled up. We're using Castrol CVT transmission fluid, one of the best you can trust on your vehicle, especially the Audis and any other brand, to be honest with you. So we got our pneumatic pump over here, and we got our A-line pumped in, and then this is our line, goes all the way to the gearbox. So we're going to fill it up now, and it works with this trigger. As soon as you press the trigger, the fluid goes up and then it fills up. So we took out about 5.8 liters. So you're going to pump in 6.5 liters and then level the fluid. So we've managed to put in about 4 liters now. We are at the 2 liter mark now, so we just got 2 liters more to go. This pump is very fast, so I recommend this one. At 1 liter now. Right, so the pump is done filling up the fluid now. All we're going to do is to disconnect and then run the vehicle to operating temperature, which is from 35 to 44 degrees, and we're going to check the gearbox oil temperature on the diagnostics machine. Once it reaches 35 to 40 degrees, then we're going to switch it off and level it while it's running. So we got the car running now. We are busy leveling the oil in the gearbox. So what is very important for you to do is to have your diagnostics on and watch the transmission fluid temperature. It needs to get up to at least 35 to 45 degrees. Anywhere in the middle between those two numbers is fine. Once it's there, then you can start to remove your valve and start leveling the coolant, the fluid. So also it's very important while your vehicle is idling to maybe try and keep it at 2000 revs or 2.5 revs to 2500 revs, and yeah, for the fluid to flow much quicker and easily, and also get rid of all of the bubbles in the system. So running your vehicle through the gears while it's idling, while you're warming up your transmission fluid, helps bleed the solenoids inside the gearbox. So that's why it's very important to make sure that you run it through all the gears, park, reverse, drive, etc, etc. So right now our fluid is on 34 degrees. We're just going to wait for it to get to 36 and then we're going to level it. So the car has reached sufficient temperature now. We're going to lift it up and level the transmission oil. Alright, so we got the car running. What we're going to do now is to open up over here and let it get level. So it's going to drip until it is level. Alright, so this is what happens. Since our transmission fluid is at the correct temperature, it's going to level automatically. Flow is a little bit much quicker if we remove our drain plug, our adapter piece. So yeah, just gonna wait for it to get level. So once it starts dripping and squirting like that, it's time to put back your sump nut or your drain plug if you may, and then these are the signs that it is nice and level if the flow is not consistent anymore. So the drain plug is on now. The torque specs for the drain plug is, I think, 30 newton meters. Alright, so you're just going to torque this down to 30 newton meters. Now we're just going to get all of this cleaned up, the side as well as the drain plug, all of this oil residue, and then we're done.